Here's the tray.
I'm back all the way.
I got it. So good morning. I want to thank everyone for coming, and I know it's starting to feel a little like Groundhog's Day. You've been here. We know that we have one more system coming through. We will have snow in Seattle for the next several hours, but the latest forecast is that snow will turn to rain sometime around the evening commute or after that. It still presents very dangerous driving conditions for the people of Seattle and the region. I'm very pleased today to be joined here by Governor Inslee and Executive Dow Constantine, as well as a number of our teammates who have been providing support around the clock. I want to thank first the people from Seattle and people around the region from doing their part. We saw a weekend with very few incidents. People were helping neighbors, staying off the roads, and because of the work of our navigation team and our frontline service providers, we were able to bring hundreds of more people inside out of the cold who are experiencing homelessness. We will continue that kind of outreach. As you'll hear today, we're opening additional short-term shelters to make sure people have a place to go. We're focusing on getting people food and other supplies as well. Depending on where you are in Seattle and in the region, you will get a still more snow between now and when it changes to rain. And depending on how the convergence zone happens, some areas, and depending on their height, will continue to get snow. We know that the city of Seattle will continue to have snow, and when it turns to rain, it will still present a great deal of hazard for our roads, because as that rain hits the current snow and ice and gets compacted, it can turn our streets, our sidewalks into ice. Again, I want to thank everybody for doing what they've done to make sure that we're taking care of our neighbors and the people who can't take care of themselves, and that we're doing what we needed to do to stay off the streets. Please stay safe. You'll hear now from the governor next, and then Executive Constantine, and then we'll have updates from each of the city departments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the mayor's leadership and the executives. But I want to note the real leaders here have been the people of the state of Washington. They have responded with great caution and great responsibility by essentially not driving when not necessary. This has been the single most important thing that we can do, and Washingtonians have been doing that. Our traffic volumes are down about 50 or 70%, and that means less people getting hurt. And so I want to thank the people of Washington and Seattle and King County of what they're doing to be safe. Those are the single most important acts of leadership, and we've had it across the state of Washington. So this is a big thanks to people in the state of Washington. But second, I want to thank the crews of all these agencies that have been working, from the State Department of Transportation. They are now working really long hours. We're asking them to do a lot more for the rest of the week. Same with the State Patrol and our many city agencies, police and fire and transportation. Let's help them get through the week safely by doing our part to reduce risks. Let's give those plows more room. When you see those flashing lights, we've already had 2 state troopers that have been struck. So let's give them an added measure of space in the next few days. The third message is that we are not done with this, and for the foreseeable future, caution is going to be the order for all of us. We've done really, really well together. People have been sharing their shovels to get sidewalks cleared. People have been helping their elderly neighbors. People have been reducing their traffic. We just need to keep that up for the next several days. One added announcement: we are amending an emergency declaration to make sure we can get de-icing agents to our airports. We're going to get that done in the next couple hours to keep that going. So let's be safe. Thanks. Dow Constantine.
Well, thank you, Governor, Mayor. We are continuing at King County to manage these winter storms, to make adjustments to Metro bus service, to our emergency shelters, and to snow removal on unincorporated roads, including hundreds of miles of rural roads. This morning, before I got here, I visited with some of the vehicle maintenance staff at King County Metro, who are busy not only chaining up the coaches that are headed out, but repairing hundreds, well over 300 vehicles that have been damaged. And we need to get back in good repair so we can get back to full service when the snow's gone. I also visited with the maintenance staff at our facilities division, who are keeping over 40 county facilities across the county up and running. They have worked now for 8 days straight. Many of them have spent 3 or 4 nights in a row away from their families because, of course, this is a vast geography, and so They're deployed not just in downtown Seattle, but from Skykomish to Snoqualmie to the Kent Valley. And we are very pleased with the work they have done keeping us in business. King County is open for business today. King County continues to operate routes, Metro King County continues to operate routes on emergency snow network. I talked about that last time we were together. It provides service on 67 high ridership routes where shuttles where cities and the State Department of Transportation have prioritized snow removal. This is a system that we put together many years ago to make sure that even in an event like this, we could have reliable transportation. We shifted to the network on Saturday, and we continue the use of the emergency snow network through tomorrow. As you can see, it's snowing right now. There's a lot of uncertainty about what the next 12 to 18 hours holds, but we want to make sure that we keep people safe and that when they come to get a bus, that it is on a reliable route, that it's not going to get stuck, it's going to get them where they need to go. After tomorrow, or tomorrow morning, I'm going to make a decision about Wednesday. I'll make that based on advice from many folks, including most of all Rob Gannon, the general manager of Metro, about our level of service on Wednesday. Our goal is to offer safe, reliable Metro service now, but also to effectively manage our fleet and our employees so that we can get back to full service as quickly as possible when the weather allows. If we have snow accumulation tonight and early tomorrow, the emergency snow network will allow us to continue service on the main arterials that remain clear. Even if we have rain tonight, Metro is going to use that opportunity to catch up on repairing all of those coaches that have been damaged during the storm. As you imagine, it has been a difficult week for our operators and mechanics. Folks have been working many, many hours. Anyone who's tried to put chains on a car knows it's not easy. Try doing that on a 22-ton bus, not up on a hoist in the garage, but out on the streets of this county. It is a tough job, and we appreciate all the work folks have done. I want to thank our riders who've been patient and have expressed their support, and to those in Metro who have gone above and beyond, thank you for keeping up that pace a little longer. On shelters, we have over 300 beds in downtown core right now. About 200 people have been taking advantage of those at Harborview Hall, 4th and Jefferson, and the King County Administration Building over the last few nights. We have a day center at 4th and Jefferson and an overflow center in the King County Administration Building. More than 150 people spent time at the Jefferson Center yesterday and 82 others at the Administration Building. We're glad to offer them a cup of coffee, some companionship, and shelter from the storm. I spent a couple hours visiting with them yesterday afternoon. And I want to appreciate all of those from the Salvation Army, the Urban League, City of Seattle, and others who are helping us keep folks safe during this storm. As always, if you need information about the nearest shelter, if you see somebody who needs help, please call 211. Finally, in the unincorporated area, outside of our 39 cities, the roads crews are working 24 hours a day, 2 12-hour shifts, clearing snow and ice from main arterials. We have 28 trucks configured for snow removal, and roads crews have plowed about 8,700 lane miles. Most of our major roadways are open this morning, and I am right now, as soon as we leave, on my way to our emergency operations center, which is on the hill above Renton, to check up on how we're doing as this next system moves through. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Peter Rogoff, Chief Executive Officer of Sound Transit. I just want to assure the people of the region, Link Light Rail continues to run really without a hiccup, and we were able to field a complete fleet for Sounder commuter rail this morning, both coming down from Everett and coming up north from Lakewood and Tacoma. Please know that if you have the option of using Link Light Rail or Sounder commuter rail, these are your safest options for getting around the region. Even for those that have to use the roadways, whatever bus provider, Sound Transit Express Bus, King County Metro, Community Transit, Pierce Transit, these are your safest options for operating on the highway system. And we have, all of us, transit providers across the region have been able to maintain service with very good reliability. As Dow points out, we owe a great deal of gratitude to the mechanics and the operators who are working extra hours to make that possible. If anything, our only challenge is making sure that operators can get to their place of work because of their own local weather conditions. We did have some hiccups this morning, bringing some buses up from Pierce, and other buses that deployed 10 minutes later had to be used because of a lack of operators. Kitsap ferry service this morning did have to suspend some ferry service because of crews not being able to get to the docks, but everyone is in recovery from that mode. So again, your safest options are the rail transportation, bus transportation. We remain very optimistic that we are going to be able to keep all of these services running for the entire region in the days to come, thanks to all of our partners. Thank you.
Good morning. Sam Zimbabwe with Seattle Department of Transportation. We continue as well to work around the clock, 24 hours a day, 2 12-hour shifts. We've got about 35 pieces of equipment out there right now removing snow and ice. Our top priority remains our arterial streets, keeping transit moving, keeping emergency services moving. Please, as you start, as if people do need to drive, be aware of the conditions. They're changing rapidly. We had our head of snow response rear-ended last night by somebody who was so eager to get out there that they went down a hill too fast. Today we're going to be continuing. We still want people to clear their sidewalks adjacent to residents and businesses, help those who can't do that for themselves, working everybody together. We're continuing to do curb ramps, making sure that sidewalks are accessible at the intersections especially, and then we're moving on, especially with the help of Seattle Parks, to start clearing the protected bike lanes around the city. Tree crews are on standby as we start to have tree issues. If you see any downed trees, 206-684 road or the Find It, Fix It app. And again, just to reinforce, if you can avoid driving, please do so. And if you do need to drive, take extra caution. Make sure you give yourself time to stop. Pedestrians, make sure that you are aware of drivers coming. They might not be able to stop as quickly as they can too. Please stay safe out there, everybody.
Hello, my name is Jason Johnson. I'm with the Human Services Department here at the City of Seattle. Our primary work and my primary message remains focused on people living unsheltered in our city. We want to see as many people get indoors as possible. The low temperatures and snow accumulation make for very dangerous conditions. And again, we encourage everyone to come indoors. We have opened severe weather shelters for this purpose, and there is capacity. There is several shelters that we've been able to open, and we have our navigation team deployed. They are combing the streets of Seattle, working to get every individual, whether they are out in our day centers or if they find them sleeping out on the sidewalks, to a indoor shelter. So just as a reminder, those shelters that we've had activated through the weekend and will continue tonight are the Seattle Center Exhibition Hall. That's on Mercer. We have both the King County Administrative Building and King County Building at 4th and Jefferson. City Hall shelters remain open. Mary's Place has expanded shelter capacity for families, and we have opened the Garfield Community Center on 23rd and Cherry. We are also opening additional shelter beds starting tonight at the Bitter Lake Community Center. That is an additional shelter that adds 150 beds to the hundreds of beds we've been able to open during this storm. Again, my message is please go inside. You can dial 211, call the crisis clinic for a full list with hours and addresses of any of our overnight or daytime shelters. Likewise, the department is working with other vulnerable populations. We have calls going out across the county to ensure that homebound seniors or people living with disabilities have the care they need. have 5 days of food, have access to their medications, and have access to the medical services that they need. Most of our senior centers are closed today, and related programming, including congregate meals, are also not operating today. That said, there is a meal program at the Pike Market Senior Center. There is limited delivery from Meals on Wheels through Sound Generations. Likewise, Lifelong Chicken Soup Brigade is also doing their home delivery today. They have a limited number of volunteers available to make those deliveries, but they're out making those critical meal deliveries. For a full list of meal sites, food banks that are open, food access, again, please dial 211 and access the crisis clinic. Thank you.
I think WashDOT, we skipped over you, did we?
Good morning. My name's Chris Johnson. I'm the Maintenance and Operations Manager for the Washington State DOT. First off, I'd like to thank all of our transportation partners for working with us through this event. That starts with the traveling public. We could not do this without your support in modifying your travel habits and your routines. For the State Patrol for working with us, addressing disabled motorists out on the roadway, for the cities and the counties and the work that we're doing with them as well. Just thank you, everybody, for what you're doing. But most of all, thank you to my own maintenance people that are out there working 24 hours a day right now to try to keep the roadways clear. Safety is our #1 priority. As the governor said, thank you for giving our plows room to do their work. They're out there trying to make the roads passable for you. We've had several incidents where people think that the best place for them is in front of the plow. The best place for you is behind the plow. Let our crews do the work to get the roads open. Our guys are starting to get tired. We're taking that into consideration as we're giving them scheduled time off. Again, they're all out there trying to do their very, very best. We're not through yet. Weather is going to be coming in again this week. Please be prepared to drive if you do need to go out, and please give our people room they need to get the job done. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Deborah Smith with Seattle City Light, and we've had, this continues to be a weather event that's been very kind to Seattle City Light. We currently have a total of 40 customers out. Our city, our emergency operations center has been active all weekend and have had regular calls. And we want to just appreciate our customers and the courtesies they've shown us and the patience that they've demonstrated. So freezing rain is always a concern. We're hopeful that we will get through the next 24 hours without any damaging ice. We'll be monitoring the situation carefully and advise customers to do the same. Our #1 priority continues to be the safety of our customers and our employees. So please give a wide berth to downed power lines, assume they're energized, and give us a call. Our customer contact center is staffed and will remain open as long as conditions require, and they're available to take your call. And I guess the message I want to give you is that your community-owned utility is open for business today.
Good morning. Ami Hara, Seattle Public Utilities. Garbage, recycling, food, and yard waste collection is dependent on safe weather and road conditions. Over the past week, winter storms have really challenged our crews, and so we thank the residents of Seattle for their patience as we wait for the next safe collection window. Despite the snow and ice, over the past few days, contractors have been able to catch up on much of the delayed commercial and multifamily collections from earlier in the week. Yesterday, crews made pickups at urgent sites like hospitals as well as bagged alley waste. Because of the continued snow and ice on residential streets, crews are unable to collect garbage, recycling, and yard waste today from our Monday customers. If conditions improve, we'll attempt to collect their waste tomorrow. But if icy conditions persist, we will aim to prioritize those Monday customers and collect their garbage as soon as possible. Our north and south transfer stations are open today, and our staff are ready to collect and receive garbage, recycling, yard, and food waste drop-offs. We will provide the latest updates about solid waste collections on our website, on Twitter at Seattle SPU, and on Alert Seattle, so please sign up for notifications. Seattle Public Utility crews stand ready to respond to any issues related to water, as well as drainage and wastewater. Because of the freezing temperatures, some of our customers may have frozen pipes, and we want to remind customers not to use blow torches, kerosene or propane heaters, charcoal stoves, or other open flame devices on their pipes. This is very dangerous. We have tips about thawing pipes as well as protecting them from freezing on our website at seattle.gov/UTIL. Finally, SPU is keeping a close eye on the forecast and monitoring conditions for any possible street flooding. If temperatures start to rise and iced over drain inlets prevent melted snow and rain from draining, the chances of flooding increase significantly. Safety is our primary concern, but if you are able to assist by clearing a drain inlet or several drain inlets near your home, you can help prevent localized flooding in your neighborhood. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Harold Scoggins, Fire Chief. And what I want the community to know, not just here in Seattle, but around the region, because I've been in contact with my peers all around King County, is that we're out there supporting the community in any way that we can. We're going to continue to ask for your awareness in so many different areas. As you're walking down the street or driving, give yourself a little more room to stop because the cars are sliding around the streets. If you're walking and texting, please pay attention before you walk out into that crosswalk, knowing that cars are sliding a bit. Your carbon monoxide and smoke detectors, let's continue to make sure they work, and please do not bring those devices inside to heat your homes or wherever it is you're staying that aren't designed to work inside the home. Also, as we see the ice builds up and the snow starts to melt, please pay attention to where you're walking, as you don't want the heavily weighted snow or the ice coming down that can cause you injury. We are seeing our calls coming in at a lower volume, and that's because of each and every one of you. We believe that you're paying attention. That's why we're having success right now. So I want to thank the men and women of the Seattle Fire Department and all the fire departments in the region, as well as all of our partners, for working closely to make sure that all of our communities are safe. Thank you.
I'm Mark Garthgreen. I'm the Deputy Chief of Police for the City of Seattle. I want to thank the members of the Seattle Police Department, civilian and sworn men and women, and their families for their professionalism and dedication during this snowy time. The Police Department continues to respond to emergency calls. One of the chief best priorities is that our patrol officers keep checking on our unsheltered neighbors. To that end, we have vans in cooperation with Human Services that are out picking folks up and moving them to the shelters, as well as our patrol officers are transporting people as we go along as well. We ask that you do remain vigilant. I know it seems to be getting clearer, it seems to be getting a little warmer, but in that times where we think those roads look a little better, they're actually not. So please observe the street closed signs, give emergency vehicles and our maintenance vehicles a little wider berth, give them a little more space to work and to do their jobs there. Continue to be cautious about sledding on the streets so that we're not bumping into cars and getting injuries out there as we go along. Please continue to call 911 and 211 for any folks that you believe are in need of assistance out there. And thank you.
And we're going to have State Patrol joined us as well. I'm going to have, if you want to, Chief, come to the podium. In Seattle, we had our fish truck. This morning, they had their chicken truck.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of your hardworking troopers, I want to extend our thanks to the public. Thank you for your courtesy and giving them a wide berth as they perform their duties. Here in the greater Seattle area, we've responded to hundreds of collisions. Across the state, we've responded to over 3,000 collisions. We had 2 troopers hit, as the governor mentioned earlier, one in Spokane yesterday and one here in Seattle. So we really appreciate the wide berth that the citizens give our troopers. Each one of those incidents is an exposure to them in terms of risk as well as to yourselves as the public. We ask that you slow down and please move over when and where you can. Place greater distances between yourself and the vehicle in front of you and be very cognizant at all times. Please put your phones down, pay attention to your driving, and for God's sake, please don't drive under the influence. One of my troopers who was struck in Spokane was struck by an individual driving under the influence of alcohol. Please be safe, and the troopers are doing everything that they can to keep us safe. So thank you very much to our partners in law enforcement across this great state of ours who are giving their all to U.S. citizens, and thank you for giving them that courtesy in the performance of their duties. Thank you very much.
Governor, Mayor, Executive. My name is Calvin Goings. I'm the Director of City Finance and Administrative Services here in the City of Seattle. FAS has been supporting key city services in 3 areas since the activation of the Emergency Operations Center. First, in our fleet services, our Charles Street and Holler Lake facilities are operating on a 24/7 basis to support SDOT's ongoing services. To date, we've repaired over 85 vehicles. 10 vehicles are still in the shop, but we're optimistic those will be about on the road shortly. And we're operating with a full complement of mechanics and support staff. And I want to take just a moment to thank the FAS employees who have been working nonstop 12-hour shifts since this severe weather event occurred. Additionally, Mayor, we are monitoring the fuel usage of the city's fleet every 6 hours. Secondly, in facility operations, our security, janitorial, and support teams are engaged in active de-icing and plowing operations across our various facilities in the city, and our FAS generators at all 57 sites have been topped off with fuel. Third, and finally, in customer service, our 6 neighborhood customer service centers, the City Hall Customer Service Bureau, and the licensing and treasury offices at the Municipal Tower are open for business as well. But please check the city website before visiting one of these facilities to make sure you have the most up-to-date hours of operation. And finally, we want to strongly encourage city residents and City of Seattle employees to sign up for the Alert Seattle notification system in order to receive real-time notices of emergency operations and service impacts. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Christopher Williams. I'm with Seattle Parks, and I want to start out by thanking the hardworking employees of the Seattle Park and Recreation Department. Today, enough employees showed up to staff 22 community centers and 5 public swimming pools across the system. That is a great way to beat cabin fever. I encourage you to go to our website and log on to seattleparks.gov and find out the operating hours for those locations near your neighborhood. We've also stood up 2 emergency shelters, one at Garfield Community Center located at 2023 Cherry Avenue, and that is a 24-hour warming shelter that's been operating since last Friday. It is fully staffed. We're serving hot meals. We have capacity for 138 individuals who are being kept warm and out of the snow. We are standing up tonight a second warming shelter at the Bitter Lake Community Center located at 130th and Linden Street in the North End. And I want to thank our partners at SPU who have agreed to staff that facility as we ramp up. We also have a huge contingency of maintenance staff who are helping out wherever they can. You heard earlier clearing bike lanes. Where we have parks adjacent to bus stops, they are shoveling the sidewalks. They are clearing parking lots at libraries so the public can have access to those amenities as well. So thank you once again, Seattle Park and Recreation employees. Thanks, Mayor.
Hello, Andres Mantilla with Department of Neighborhoods. With this inclement weather, we as neighbors need to look out for each other. So if you haven't already, we're encouraging you to please check on your neighbors to make sure everyone is okay, especially those that may need assistance, such as your elderly neighbors, those who are differently abled, families, or those with pets. Help make it safer for your neighbors to get around. If you're able, treat or shovel the snow and ice from your sidewalks and paths. While you're at it, shovel your neighbors as well, especially those who need assistance, or share your shovel with your neighbor so they can clear the sidewalk. In fact, if it's safe, we encourage you to make it a neighborhood block party. Reach out to your neighborhood, to your neighbors and to your neighborhood, and invite them to help to clear the sidewalks, the paths, and as Mommy also mentioned, to help clear the storm drains. We've been in contact with our partner agencies, Seattle Housing Authority, also the Office of Economic Development, to elevate community concerns, business district concerns, as well as translating with our partner, the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, into other languages other than English. So please, thank you for your continued support, and thank you for being great neighbors.
Great, we'll take a few questions. I just want to sum up. I can't thank the workers of not just the City of Seattle, but all the regional partners on all the work they've been doing. People have been working really long shifts, some of them 12 hours, some of them not going home at all. And their families have been wearing the weight as well. I talked to one of the road crews whose wife and 4 kids were snowed in while he was clearing our roads. So I want to thank everyone for their efforts, and really for me personally, I want to thank the people of Seattle. They have stepped up again and again, and because of that, more people remain safe. We were able to bring more people inside, and with that, we'll take if anyone has any questions for the governor, the executive, or I would be happy to answer them.
Governor Inslee, we just heard about a house collapsing in Swin because of possible heavy snow. Is there any opportunity to call in the National Guard maybe, or just other resources if it does get really worse in places like Swin or Port Angeles that saw like 2 feet of snow there?
Yes, that is possible if the conditions warrant that. We just had a briefing this morning with our National Guard General Dougherty. So far, there have not been any requests from local communities to assist. And the way this works, if local communities ask for assistance, then the National Guard can come in. We're ready, willing, and able to respond to those type of things. And that is important. We're on guard. I think that's the message here at the moment. We need to be on guard for the next several days and for those kind of things. And you can trust that we will be there.
Governor Inslee, Chris Reichdahl is trying to decide what to do given your state of emergency, whether or not another day of school is going to be required. Can you clarify what that means in terms of schools? Will they still have to attend the required days this year?
So that'll be largely up to the Superintendent of Public Instruction. So I'll defer that question to him in that regard. I will say this, I do not have the executive authority to issue an executive order that students who are now at home and not going to school to go shovel their neighbor's driveway. However, I can say that when they apply to one of our fine universities and they put on their application that they shoveled their elderly neighbor's driveway in the great snowstorm of 2019, that's going to look really good. So I hope that they consider that.
Question for the city. SDOT has been really aggressive about the emerald and gold routes. Is it time to have emerald and gold pedestrian routes given the increase in walking and somewhat of an outcry for SDOT to jump on those?
Yeah, we've tried to do actually both because we don't think they're mutually exclusive. So the road crews have been working to keep the emerald and gold routes open as much as possible. But as we've moved into the time of the week where people are going to work, we're also looking at pedestrian core and where people are walking. Obviously, adjacent landowners are responsible for clearing their own sidewalks, but SDOT has been very assiduous around making sure that those pedestrian walkways that lead to buses, to curb ramps, to where people we know are going. So we've been doing that. I also want to call out to parks, which has been anything adjacent to a park. The park crews have been there themselves shoveling. So we have been working very hard to make sure that we do keep pedestrian ways clear. Adjacent property owners should be clearing their own sidewalks. And so we really recommend that people continue to do that. As we move forward in this event, depending on how it happens, we'll be making determinations on how we then move from arterials to residential streets. But the clear priority has to be keeping those main arterials open, making sure that our transportation, our fire and rescue can get to where they need to get, and that our transit needs to get where it goes. And then we evaluate literally on an hour-by-hour basis.
Do you see the plan updated in the future to create priority common areas like Danny Way, for instance?
I think we will reevaluate everything that we've done to see what worked and what didn't work, and whether now that we have a denser city and people are working and commuting in different ways, whether we're making sure that we're taking that into effect. But I would say that to date, we've been very successful in keeping those roadways and sidewalks open and safe as best we can.
Is there any effort to provide food to kids who depend on free meals in the schools?
Yeah, we talked to the Seattle Public Schools briefly about that because a lot of families do rely on the reduced and free lunch program. It's another unfortunate thing is Mondays, a number of food banks are closed, and so we're working with our community-based organization partners to see how we can get as much food available, and we'll be putting that information both up on our websites and reaching out to those community-based organizations to see what we can do to provide people food when they need it.
Just to follow up on that, some of the people who are telling me they're staying in the shelters don't have any food. They can't get to the food banks. Any thought of bringing food banks to these warming shelters?
We're trying to get as much food in the warming shelters as we can. The warming shelters at the one we opened up in the Central District at Garfield and one have at Bitter Lake will have meal programs. People have been very good. Again, I want to call out the park staff that kept the one open down at the Garfield Community Center. One of the staff members commuted himself from Tacoma every day to do his shifts at that shelter. And we have people at SPU who've got the training in shelter services who are jumping in to do the Bitter Lake. So we're doing the best we can to get not just staff to open those up, but to make sure that people have food, warmth, laundry services, and showers where possible as well.
I know Jason threw out a bunch of numbers, but any way to say how many people have been taken out of tents by the NAV team over the last 48 hours?
Yeah, just in the last.
Sorry.
Yep. Yeah, over the Sunday, Monday morning, they've been able to get nearly 70 individuals who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness into shelters. So it's been a really successful effort to have them out and about, around the clock, day and night, encouraging people to come in.
And that's in addition to the dozens each night before that, so it's been successful.
Have there been any deaths, particularly with the homeless population, since the series of storms began, especially for those who are living outside?
We've had one exposure death that happened over the weekend. We're still looking at the circumstances of that to see what the causes of it were. And as everyone knows, when the first storm came through, we had a person who died of exposure. So, but other than those two incidents, we're not aware of any. But we're also having the navigation team now do a second round because a number of these tents are not built for this weather. Snow accumulates. We've been very careful in our outreach not to enter into tents. So we want to go back through to make sure that the people who just chose to remain outside or in tents are safe.
At all three of the DOTs, is there enough salt, and is there any discussion at all about bringing in extra resources, if this continues in terms of?
We were able to get enough salt. We got a report this morning. We had enough to get through this next, even if it's just pure snow. And because of the great collaboration between Washington State Department of Transportation, Seattle Department of Transportation, and our transit partners, we were able to help get salt to some of the outlying cities as well so that they could use that for their roads. So I think we're good for the short term. And if the weather cooperates, the thing we're going to be looking for next is obviously the compact snow and ice, incredibly dangerous both for pedestrians and drivers, can change to flooding events. And then in Seattle, we have a history that after events like this, that we can have a number of slides. And so we're preparing the next emergency response to make sure that if there's unstable hillsides, we're looking for that, be able to respond to residents who may be living in those areas.
Governor Inslee, can you further explain the de-icing expansion you talked about? Is that for planes, for roads? Is there a shortage?
There was a concern expressed by the supplier of the de-icing chemicals today that they needed help to be able to deliver by loosening some of the hourly restrictions on truck drivers. They were concerned in the upcoming days there could be a shortage, so we're going to remove that restriction so they can make sure to make those deliveries. Assuming that happens, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. To come back to the roads de-icing, we think we're in pretty good shape throughout this week. But I have to say that if we get hammered with some more storms later in February, we could have some issues, and we might have to change our system of using sand and de-icing to have a different mixture. But we're well in the way of thinking about that. I want to say something too, and I hope it's not too off topic, but I have to say it. When I think of our community that has homeless people who actually, one of whom lost their life to exposure, and realize that we don't have a system to handle this problem in the state, it kind of drives me nuts, given the wealth that exists in the state of Washington. And I just want to note that because today in the legislature we have a proposal to have a tax system on really high income people that in part will help deal with this. And I know when I talk to legislators, I'm going to remind them of that when a state that has this enormous pockets of wealth, to have a system where we can take care of homeless people and they're not dying of exposure, I hope that's a lesson we take from this snowstorm this year.
So if freezing rain does come in, does your plan, the city, the state, change at all? How do you foresee that happening?
Yeah. You can do Metro. I'll do one thing. The biggest concern the city has from freezing rain, other than traffic, which we'll deal with, is power. Because freezing rain not only makes branches heavy that tend to fall on power lines, and we see in freezing rain conditions. And so we've been resting the city light crews, but have them ready and pre-positioned in all parts of the city we know where those areas are that tend to get that. I'll let the executive deal with how we're dealing with Metro for freezing rain.
So it presents a real challenge because we need to make the call by 10 a.m. tomorrow about whether we're going to increase bus service on Wednesday. It takes that long to be able to bring in the crews and deploy the coaches. So if freezing rain is part of the mix, it is going to cause us fairly early to have to make the call to continue the emergency service network for another day, just because we cannot send all those coaches out onto very icy roads. They will get stuck, and that will prevent us from being able to get back to full service when the weather system passes. I will say that in the coaches downtown, the rubber-tired trolleys, we take those out of service right away at the start of a weather event because they do not do well in icy or snowy conditions. So the electrical problem would not be as much of a problem for the downtown Seattle buses. We'll use diesels on those. But it is going to be a really minute-by-minute exercise to determine whether we're able to run a higher level of service on Wednesday.
We have time for one more question. The two state troopers who are hit, can you give us an update on how they're doing Chief, and also the circumstances of the Seattle area collision, if you know it?
Yeah, thankfully the trooper in Spokane is going to be out for about a week, suffered back, head, and neck injuries, but nothing more serious than that, and the trooper here in Seattle suffered, thankfully, minor injuries. So we're hopeful that trooper's going to be back to work in a couple of days or so.
Mayor, we just had some people on social media ask this question, and maybe you can give some guidance on this. So some people are like, I work for companies that kind of, we feel like we're forced to come into work even when we can't get out of our driveway, and are there any employee rights that you know of? I know it's a very rare question, but any guidance on that?
We've been trying to work both with the employee side and the employer side. As many people know, we worked really hard with employers during the closure of the viaduct to give a lot more flexibility. I think most employers have stepped up on that. Individual employers, I can't answer that question, but I think that we've really tried to have people be patient and to show a lot of that latitude because they want to keep their employees safe. People want their family to be safe, and it helps all of us to keep people off the road. So I don't know of any specific, but if people want to send us a message and any particular incident, we'll look at it.
And I need to just say one more thing about that. With regard to starting up or increasing the bus service, our folks are in contact with major employers around the region. We talk with employers as well as University of Washington and the school districts. I've been talking directly with Superintendent Juneau about what their needs are because it's not just the yellow school buses. A lot of those kids get to school on Metro Transit or Sound Transit. And so our decisions are coordinated to the extent possible, and we want to make sure we're all operating at least from the same set of assumptions about what the weather forecast holds, what is safe to operate on the roads. This region usually shuts down for a day during a snow event, right? It's a snow day. We are not used to having to cope with a week-long challenge, and I think this is, in addition to the fact that we're coordinating day to day, I think we're building some really good cooperation that's going to help us in the future in maybe even more significant events.
Thank you very much for your time. Stay safe.